See, chat. We should be live on YouTube. If somebody could confirm for that, please. How was your week, Fred? It was cool, but please don't call me Fred. It was a good week. Not necessarily trading wise, but insightfully, it was a very good week. Just trying to make sure that every week is at least some type of progress. Okay, live on YouTube. Perfect. Let me just make a quick post. Maybe people are still joining. Oh, I'm not sharing screen. Sorry. First thing. You guys can see the Discord, right? Everyone can see the Discord, right? We have to make sure the YouTube chat is on there. Yep. Okay, let me just make a quick post and we can get started. Awesome. Hopefully you have some people on the live stream. If not, it's all good. Perfect. We have someone on the live stream. Awesome. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started in like the next 2-3 minutes. Oh, oops, accidentally inserted an ad. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Cool. Okay. So I wonder if on YouTube, I wonder if it tells me when we're in an ad. I don't think so, but it's all good. Just wait like a minute or so. From Argentina, welcome, bro. True, I could do that. All right. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I don't have too much time today, but I'll try to make sure I get through everyone's case studies, and I only have one trade for the day, so we will go ahead and review that. But in terms of the Discord, I've just made an announcement following up what we talked about last week in terms about how we can join, or how anyone can join the private group, right? And here's pretty much the entire layout. If you go to our free Discord, you just click on upgrade, read this announcement. If it's something that interests you, it's cool. If not, it's also cool. I want pretty much the main thing that I kind of want to push with the free Discord is that if you join if you join the private Discord, sorry, right, it's pretty much going to be a membership that allows you to discount anything that I offer, right? I didn't include this on this post. I'm going to add it after the stream, But also when it comes to calls, like any type of one-on-ones, or if there's like a group of people that want to do a private session, that's also discounted compared to the free group. So pretty much what I want it to be is, yes, it's a one-time fee, but over time, I want it to pretty much pay itself off by discounting whatever products or services you decide to take on with RCV. Plus, like I said, the biggest difference with the private group versus the public group is pretty much the level of maturity and the sole focus on solely trading what we look at. There's nobody in there that is like pushing other concepts per se. Yes, people use other things. Maybe you see the occasional RSI, or you see the occasional moving average, or you see the occasional concept from X individual, but for the most part, everybody kind of trades relatively the same way, and they just add extra things as extra confirmations so that it fits their style. So don't want to get too much into this. If you guys want to or are interested in learning more about this, by all means, feel free to read this announcement. But also, more importantly, like I say here in the bottom, you guys see the group buy option, right? There, I have noticed in the public group that there is like a group of people who kind of stick together. I don't know if they have their own group chat outside of the group, but it would be cool if they did. But if you do have some type of like small community that is looking to be a part of RCV, I will gladly discount this fee, because at the end of the day, I want the RCV private community to grow, because really the beautiful thing about a community is you don't know how far it can go. Obviously right now I can't say that I'm doing a bunch of like, I'm not doing the best of the best of the best, but it can get there, right? And the only way it can get there is if the community grows, is if we grow, etc., etc. So for the most part, if you guys are in some type of group and would like to join collectively, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email, and we can get on a call and sort this out. But other than that, let's go ahead and move on to the charts. Any questions when it comes to this, or are we all good? Any questions, concerns? Yes, no? All good, all good. Perfect. Okay, so if you have any more questions, just go ahead and feel free to look at the free Discord and go ahead and read that. Let me go ahead and share here. Okay, so a bit of a boring week for me, similar to last week. I wouldn't say it was an issue with necessarily the style that I'm trading. I would say it's more so just my application. I just didn't have the conviction that I have had before, and it's not necessarily a system issue, not necessarily an environmental issue. I just think it's part of the game. I just think it is what it is, and I just have to keep going. I don't really have a protocol that will go through something saying, oh, if I have a bad week, then I should do this. No, if you have a bad week, it's already part of the process. So we just have to keep going, right? Because to me, the most important thing is live to fight another day. That's 100% the most important thing for me. Just because there's new weeks, there's new opportunities, and trust me, there will always be another opportunity. So I want to live to fight another day so that I can potentially capitalize on another opportunity down the line. So yeah, we can go over this week's trade, which was here on Wednesday. All right, as you guys can see the before. So really what I was kind of looking at here was, one second. Right, I was looking at a bullish impulse. Second, sorry about that. I was looking at a bullish impulse here, right? And I had anticipated this POI to come take us into a previous high. I just didn't like the risk to reward of this POI to this target. It was like a 1 to 1.5 or something like that. I didn't like it. And I didn't have I didn't really take the time to look into the micros and really just kind of make sure and try to kind of pursue some type of movement to the upside. Please don't write on my screen, please. Anyways, so I was unable to capitalize on the first initial move. So I know that because we have some, not necessarily a brand new high, but we kind of just swept the high here, right? And began a pullback in order for me to then pursue this high, because technically, even if this is an unsubstantial new high, it is still bullish, right? It is still bullish. So I know that if I was to anticipate this high to be ran, I would need a transition here, which is exactly what I see here. And let me, right? If we look at the internal high, low, high, right? Or pullback, sorry. Pullback is solidified. We have internal bearish order flow, and this then takes out the pullback high, right? Without taking out a previous low, and it's also within a turbulence point / POI. So to me, that was the inclination that we are potentially seeing structural disruption here. And because we're seeing structural disruption here, I'm going to take the sell to buy that caused the structural disruption so that I can then pursue a previous high, right? So the setup is relatively textbook, right? And then from here, we actually did get a good reaction. Let me pull that up. We did get a nice reaction, right? Because we got a nice reaction here, I knew that because of this reaction here, I can move my invalidation here, right? Because there is technically CBOS continuation internally, but more importantly, this is a POI here. But I believe there was a point of interest here on the M3. We can go back and check. Let's actually go ahead and do that. There was an M3 POI there. And when I moved my stop for the second time, right, I believe it was here. Yes, so, right, I had already moved my invalidation here, right, and there's obviously a POI here. So because there's a POI and this POI led into an internal reaction, right, I had moved my initial stop here. So once I had seen a continuation BOS or some type of BOS here and then give me a reaction into the upside, then I decided, hey, oh, this is annoying, sorry, super annoying. Right, so really, right, I should have closed my position after the slow was taken. Why? Because if the slow is taken, then we technically have unwillingness to the upside, and that could pretty much generate some type of move into the downside, which would then give me the opposite direction, right? But I was still confident that this would continue higher. So once we had the CBOS and we broke this bullish POI, I moved my trail stop here, right? Rather than it being here, it's now here. But unfortunately, it hit my trail stop. If I'm being honest, I should have closed this in profit because let's see, where is this? Right here. Right, I should have closed this in profit, and the reason why I say that is because after this trailed stop, right, after we take out the liquidity, right, and we take out the bullish POI here, then to me, if this is going to be a sweep model internally, then this is going to run the high, right? It's going to run the high if it's a sweep model, and we're just sweeping this previous point of liquidity so that we can then go higher, right? So as soon as I saw this low being broken, that should have been my exit, right? Because that now confirms that this is unwillingness, and we now have another point of unwillingness to continue lower, and that would have been maybe the retracement fib or the golden pocket. Sorry, yeah, around the golden pocket. So overall, I could have played this out better. I should have come out with some type of profit here, but it is what it is. Pretty much got out at a break even. So that's that for that. Any questions or concerns with the setup? Does this make sense? Right, pretty much SD setup that gave me a reaction but no follow through. That's kind of how I would summarize it. Yep, no questions, no concerns. Nope, no questions. A simple no, please. Anyone? But yeah, overall, X setup, it is what it is. Move on. Because I know that I was directionally correct, right? I just got the timing wrong, so it is what it is. And something to note also, the night, right, or that night on Wednesday, I believe. This here, right? That night on Wednesday, I was still looking at this. So I obviously only look at gold now, right? So because I only look at gold, right? I'm not opposed to taking positions during Asia session, and the reason why is because I don't necessarily like. For example, the reason why people don't trade Asia session, from what I've seen, right, is because people say that it's kind of where you build up liquidity so that you take out liquidity in the following session and then pursue, the opposite direction. But to me, that doesn't really make it makes sense, but it's not necessarily the most valuable thing as a scalper, because as a scalper, I can essentially have moves within any session, right? I don't need, for example, if I was to trade London, I don't need New York liquidity to be swept for me to then pursue a trade, right? Because there's probably one opportunity here, another opportunity here, another opportunity here, and another opportunity here, right? So because there's so many opportunities as a scalper, I can justify at least looking at the charts during Tokyo, during Sydney, right? And not necessarily only during New York, right? I don't look at London just because that's when I sleep, right? But I'm definitely not opposed to looking at the Asia session. So that night, I had a potential sweep setup showing itself here, right? And that sweep setup came from, right, a previous low that had been swept. So obviously I had gotten the break even earlier in the morning, right? And after that, I had, right, the potential LGC provide me a bullish bias, right? So now I would just need some type of model in order for me to justify a continuation. So, right, as we're coming down here, price is coming lower, right? I do know equal lows here, but more importantly, this is a solidified point that led into a previous high. So this solidified point is then ran through, and we then have a sweep model. We could even argue that this is an accumulation schematic here, right? You could even argue that that's an accumulation schematic, right? But more importantly, right, we see that there is a high into a low, right? And then after we have swept the low, there is an internal structural disruption. So because there's an internal structural disruption here, right, where the pullback does not take out a previous low, but then gives you a bullish move into the upside, I can now justify that I'm probably going to be bullish, at least for the short term, which would be at this POI here, right? And unfortunately, this just did not reach my entry, right? If I wanted to be more conservative, I really could have focused on the entire sell to buy here, the entire sell to buy that confirmed the sweep model, and I could have, right, not only pursued here, but I could have also held this a bit longer. But overall, I was a bit disappointed that I missed out on this trade, but it is what it is. This would have pretty much been the trade of the week. Although I may not have held, the potential here was actually kind of crazy, right? The potential from this move, right? Because my target ultimately would have been previous equal highs that we noted last week, right? And that alone would have been a 1 to 10, right? So it would have been an amazing trade for the day, or for the night, I'm sorry. But this ended up going even further, which was actually very interesting to me. And it kind of caused a couple of thoughts in my mind, where you kind of start to question yourself. It's like, am I cutting myself short, or am I just kind of getting stuck on the whole woulda, coulda, shoulda, which is exactly what I don't want to do, right? So because the problem with being too realistic with setups, where, or trying to be too technical with setups, is that you kind of withhold yourself from the unknown, right? Because we don't know how far trades can go, right? We don't know if something can go up forever or something can go down forever, obviously they more than likely won't, but they can, right? The possibility is there. And in a game where we have pretty much zero certainties, the only certainty is in this game is that you're given a time, you're given a price, and you can see previous data, right? And you can achieve a result. That's pretty much the only guarantees that you will have in this game. Everything else is kind of up for grabs or up for interpretation. So I'm kind of it's just something I was thinking about this week. It's like, am I holding myself back by only pursuing immediate targets, but focusing on a higher win rate? Or should I attempt to partial out and maybe just trail my stop immediately so that I can see just how far this can go? Because if I was to have trailed if I trailed my stop immediately here, I probably would have been stopped around here, right? And that's a big change compared to this. So it's just something I was thinking about this week, and maybe something you guys can think about as well. Is just maybe being too technical, too following the rules by the book too much could withhold you from the unknown, because you don't know essentially what can happen, right? I hope that makes sense, but anyways, we'll move on to the next trade. Let's see. So, right, unfortunately, I did miss out on this one. Been thinking about that also. Cool. What do you think about it? Okay, cool. Anyways, move on to the next one. So, following day, this is during New York session, as you can see here. During New York session, I was actually looking for a long position here, excuse me, based on a reaction of this POI, right? And the reason why I still consider this POI valid, even though we took out the POI, is because we know that three things can happen at a POI, right? We can either have the open, the 50%, or right, we can take the liquidity grab of the POI and still get a reaction in the opposite direction, right? And my position here worked out perfectly. I was looking at an internal structural disruption. Why? Because I know that we do technically have order flow disruption here. Sorry, not there, here. Right, we have an internal OFD here, but that only begins the pullback, right? And although we did have a structural disruption model, the only reason I didn't take this trade is because we had an external structural disruption here, right? There was a structural disruption here, meaning that this is technically bearish, right? So I just didn't have the conviction to take the structural disruption into a bullish POI here, which by all means I should have. Maybe I could have even refined the entry a bit further, because after this structural disruption present here, we actually got the full confirmation here, right? Once we got the full confirmation, any type of position here, in my opinion, is viable, and it would have resulted in a much better trade risk to reward wise, and it would have been a bit more conservative of a scenario. Like, just to make it simple, you could have even taken a fib here. Right, and the reason why I can set my stop loss here and not here is because of the LGC here, right? So we have a structural disruption, meaning that we're internally bullish, sorry, and then we have an LGC, right, that confirms we are bullish. That's why I can justify my invalidation being here. And as you can see, that would have been a 4.65 R trade. That would have been an excellent trade, right? I could have been a little bit more patient. Let's see. No definite answer. Actually, I don't see a W scenario. Most times you cut yourself short. More times after it hits your TP, it flips. Exactly. Most of the time after my TPs are hit, they do flip. So I don't want to essentially change my setup for that specific scenario. I want to create rules that are specific enough to give me scenarios where I could say yes and no, but not too specific to where I'm really kind of just asking too much of the market, if that makes sense. I would say what you told me when I started back in Feb also applies here, which is if you want more pips, zoom out. When I had the problem of targets being reached and then having a reversal. Yes, But the issue is that yes, you may get more pips on a higher time frame, but the ratios are the same. You will get the same risk to reward if you follow the same rules. It doesn't matter what time frames you trade, right? For example, we'll go into the example here in a bit. But no, that's explained. So let's see. Let's go to M15. Right? Let's say we have an M15 scenario here where we have potentially an LGC present here. LGC present here because we're directionally bearish and this is an M15, right? So although we'll get more pips, yes, but if we're sizing the same way, and right, this is where the buy to sell started. Right, it's the ratios are the same. Right, the ratios are the same, so let's go back to this scenario. All right, and then my last scenario was something I was looking at last night. I didn't take this, I was out, but very interesting sweep setup once again, right? And the reason why I say sweep setup is after this TP was hit, we created an internal bullish range, but we did have a continuation break of structure here. We have a continuation break of structure, right? And if we look at this internally, then we have high, low, retracement, fulfillment, reversal break of structure, right? So once a reversal break of structure comes in, there was a turbulence point here, and this was just kind of a easy scenario that I was looking at. And this one as well, you know, went a lot further. Let me take this off. So this one did go a little bit further as well, but either way, all right, I'm happy that this hit my TP and this didn't give a very big move, because obviously if this high is to be taken, the only other TP I can take is the external, which would have been here, right? And that's also a very good trade, you know, in the span of an hour, 2 hours. Actually 3 hours, sorry, in the span of 3 hours. So a lot of reviewing this week, not too many trades this week. Like I said, the one trade I took was a break even. But either way, we move on to the next week. Yeah, I knew this was going to be bearish today. Just didn't trade today, but I knew this would be bearish after this. But anyways, let's go ahead and go through these case studies because I only have like 15, 20 more minutes. Let's see, let me pull these up really quick. Yeah, go ahead and send them. Go ahead and send them, guys. I'm going to try to go through these relatively quickly because I don't have too much time. I have to be out of here in an hour, so... Actually, we'll go one at a time. Okay, so I'm going to try to breeze through these. I don't have too much time, like I said. Excuse me. Okay, so I see directionally bullish externally, but you're bearish internally. Okay. I don't like this. I don't like this because you swept after the reaction and now you're challenging the reaction again. So yes, the invalidation is correct, but I'm not too confident in this scenario if this is me. I'm not too confident in that. Okay. So gave you another reaction. Cool. Yeah. See, not too confident in that. It's all good. Pretty much a break even. But yeah, if it doesn't give me the momentum kind of off the bat, it probably won't work out in my opinion. Okay, bearish internal transition makes sense. LGC makes sense. Oh, internal order flow kind of gave you the reaction before that. That's unfortunate. It's just tough because the entire buy to sell that caused the move is technically here, right? And that's what sometimes that makes me not want to trade a scenario, only because the perimeter would cause my RR to be like a 1 to 1.5, so it's not really the best. Yeah, and it gave you the whole reaction. It just you didn't get your price. So sorry, but yeah, either way, it was a good scenario. I just didn't like the details because, like I said, the buy to sell was there, and the entire buy to sell would have caused me to have bad risk to reward. Okay, bearish. Sure, sure, sure. Has there been any structural disruption? No, no structural. Yes, potentially structural disruption. Let's see. No, I just think this is a bit too easy. This is a bit too easy. Like how I see it here too. Like the one thing I don't like is this that you highlighted here, right? Because if we're looking at this from a high, low, retracement, continuation, reversal break of structure, right? Because there's a reversal break of structure, right? It becomes I'm a lot less confident that this will continue lower. Not to mention, we have built, right, relative equal lows that's been swept, right? So if I was looking at this from a scenario of liquidity, then I would aim for here, right? Because we've already built up the liquidity, taken it, and then we're coming up higher, right? So more than anything, I'd be looking for buys until we take out a previous high here. But yeah, not enough context for that for me to be confident in that sell, though, I will say. Let's see, last one. Yeah, let's move on. Okay. Okay, continuation. This here is very key. This here is very key for your bias, right? Because that confirms the direction. And now you have an internal leg and you're coming back into the POI. So that is good, right? Not necessarily, this is not LGC. I don't know what you mean by LGC here. Yeah, it's not necessarily a model in play, but this is more so just a structural continuation that worked out. So you were able to read the direction and liquidity perfectly. You just didn't get an internal model, but you still executed, which is good, right? Because this would have ended up being what, like a 1-3, 1-4. So yeah, overall, not opposed to that. There's just no model in play. Okay. Okay. I like this. Internal OFD / sweep model. Although this is technically a reversal, right? There is relative equal highs that have been swept, but more importantly, there is order flow disruption, right? Which then led you to have the pretty much the entire POI. Perfect. So perfect outside of the fact that this was a reversal, because the problem here is like, where's your TP? Right? Where's your TP here? Yeah, you might be aiming for here, but I wouldn't aim for here because this is also a bullish POI. So I would probably aim for here at the minimum, at the maximum, right? I would TP at the POI because you don't know if this can react from here, right? Like we don't know if this can react from this POI. Okay. Next. Low high retracement. Sure, retracement is confirmed. New high on 8. I don't understand. I don't understand. Okay, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start limiting these to 2 per person because this is too much. But yeah, yo, what's your question here? Can you unmute your mic real quick? Oh, he's talking. It's not working. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah, I can't hear you on my end. Hold on, give me 1 second. 1 second. Let me fix something. Give me 1 second. Let me just try something out really quick. You can hear him? Yeah, I can't hear him on my end. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, is he still talking? I don't know why Zoom is messing this up. I don't know. Is he still talking? Yes or no? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. I cannot hear anything. Let me try something really quick. Let me just change this up. Okay, speak one more time. Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know. It's an OBS issue. I'm so sorry. Huh? Mm-hmm. Not very. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Hold on. Let me try to fix this one last time. Okay, speak again. Yeah, it's just an OBS issue, bro. I'm so sorry. It's not working out. But anyways, this question was in terms of being dynamic. No, this is what I mean by this is why I don't care about high risk to reward anymore. It doesn't matter to me anymore because we're being too optimistic of the market, right? Yes, from a perspective of structure, this is bullish, and because there is a pullback confirmed here, we should anticipate for this high to be ran. Yes, but the entry itself, this model is meant to target this high, right? Just like if there is an internal move based on low high retracement, if there's a low here, that is meant to take out this high, right? Because we don't know when this can reverse, right? And the second, right, this is broken here, right? After this high breaks here, that now means unwillingness, right? Meaning that you should now be pretty much out of the trade. And why I think it's kind of a waste is because you've now wasted all of this potential profit, right? Just because you were wanting more, but in reality, this model was meant to take out this target. Just like this model here was meant to take out that target, right? Just like this model here is meant to take out this target, right? This move here is meant to take out this move, because we don't know when this can reverse, right? And then now that's what causes you to get in your head, and that's what leads you to, you know, have this question. Yeah, it doesn't matter what's on the daily, bro. Where are you trading? The daily doesn't matter. You're trading on an M1, M2, M3. Then focus on those M1, M2, M3s. Focus on the scalp, minor intraday at most. The swing, fuck the swing. Because you're being too optimistic. You want to fit every time frame, every structural level. You want that to all align, and it's just no, right? There's a reason why I've strayed away from that, right? And I've said it I've said it, you know, many times as to why. It's just you're being too optimistic of the market. You want too much from the market. Take what's given to you, right? Because one of the only certainties that I've seen, right? Not even certainties, but one of the most high probable things is like if we are in a trending market, if there is a pullback, it will more than likely take this out, right? Maybe not always, but majority of the time. So if I'm a scalper, which is what you are a scalper because you're finding these executions on scalp timeframes, then find these continuations, right? Because if you're going to trade this H1 here, then your perimeter, if we were to wait for the break, then maybe your perimeter would have been here, which it didn't hit, or you could use the entire sell to buy, which is here, right? And that would have been about a 1 to 3 risk to reward ish, right? Yes, it might have not worked out, but that is the only way that, in my opinion, I can be quote unquote realistic based on my approach. Right, so I wouldn't think too hard about this. Just remember that you're being way too optimistic, and you can learn this now, you can learn this later, but eventually I know you will transition to scalp models, minor intraday targets, sorry, internal models, external target, right? That's what I want you to focus on, because once you master that, you will be fine. You will be fine because you already do the hardest part. These executions internally, they're the hardest part. So get paid for them. Don't let your psychology let this go. Let's say 1 to 10 risk to reward and then hit to break even. Like that's just such a waste, man. You're withholding yourself so much. So I would say you know what I have to say, bro. I tell you this every week, right? But anyways, move on to the next. I probably got time for one more. I got time for one more. I'll do this one. It's the last one. How would he have managed this trade? Let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay. How would I have managed this trade? So it really just depends because I need a CBOS to confirm this to come lower. So if I'm looking at this, if I'm taking this POI, then I'm aiming realistically for here. Okay, that's straight. So where would I move my stop? I need to see the internal here. I want to see the internal here because the reason why I want to see the internal is because I see the internal trend here. High, low, CBOS, and then a continuation. So then I can move my invalidation here. So when I have the continuation break of structure, then I can continue lower. Okay, so does that make sense? I usually only move my stop loss when it's a CBOS continuation, right? And if there's an internal high, low, this is the first preliminary break and then a continuation because that creates an internal structural range. That's why I can move my invalidation there. Right, does that make sense? Yes or no? And then from there, there was no way, but obviously once I get close to my take profit, right, I will trail it immediately just because I don't want to see this come to an extreme POI and then have it reverse on me. right? So would you say asymmetry is valid? Well, valid based on what? Valid based on what? I can't answer that if I don't know what you trade, how you trade, etc. Cannot do that. Right? Does that make sense? I can't answer that for you. That doesn't. I wouldn't know how to answer that for you. Was it okay to target the low? Yes, that's where you're supposed to target. That's where you're supposed to target. Right? Internal model, external target. Internal model, external target. Right? So any final questions, concerns, guys? Because I do have to head out here really soon. Oof, hours wasted. Trail stop is a lifesaver. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Trail stops are it. Yeah, man. No more case studies. Any more questions? No, man. I gotta go, guys. I gotta go. I have to be out of here in 20 minutes here. I have to go. So I guess I will talk to you guys next week. And also I'm starting the Spanish live streams next Thursday. So if not, I'll just see you guys on Friday. Awesome. See you guys next week.